Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friend through the world of comics for the first time. But today we are not doing that. My name is Joey Morgan. Today we're doing our second bonus episode of Fresh Face Comics. We're talking about the new film, The Batman. Well, it's already like what, three weeks old? No,
old by the time of this?
2 weeks old. Well, two and a half weeks old by the time this episode comes out. But as always, I'm here with Jacob Licklider.
Welcome to the return of Bruce Wayne Needs a Nap.
Yes. And today we have a new guest on the podcast. Previously on an episode that we had before and an episode coming up, we've had my brother on the podcast. This time we have Jacob's brother on the podcast. Say hello to Cole.
Hello, my name is Cole Licklider. I am Jacob's brother. That's my only credential.
Yeah, that's good enough. That is good enough. But yeah, today we are talking about The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, directed by Matt Reeves. We both saw this opening weekend. I saw it at a Thursday night showing because I could not wait to fucking watch this film. And you guys saw it Sunday? Opening Sunday.
Sunday night, and it was mostly a fun theater experience until the last 30 minutes.
Yep.
See, I was pretty lucky actually with my theater experience. We kind of hit the crowd that were like, appreciative of the film because it was like the day before the actual opening. So it wasn't like the people that were like, like swarming around it because new Batman movie. Like these are people that like, were there for the film and for the art of the film, which was really nice.
See, we had that too, except for one guy who
God.
In the last 30 minutes. Some people thought it was a ringtone. I think he was just playing a song.
Yeah, it went on a little bit too long to be a ringtone. I think
if you are going to a movie theater, and if you are going to an IMAX theater especially, if you're there to watch a movie, you are not there.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I've never been to an IMAX theater. I imagine it's
IMAX theater.
Yeah, that was an IMAX theater.
That's probably one of the worst IMAXs I've ever been to. Not gonna lie.
Here's the thing. You're used to like the Omnimax, so it's not like the full.
Well, no, I've been to IMAX before, but like the chairs are really bad. Anyways, we're not.
Oh yeah, the chairs are bad.
We're not doing a chair review here, but
no, let's do a chair review.
Let's do a chair review.
See, I've been going to like the same like local movie theater like all my entire my entire life. So like I don't care how the seats are. Like I'm really used to it at this point. I did go to a really nice. I don't think it was IMAX, but it was just a really great, nice theater. I went to one the one time when I went to see one of the Doctor Who big screen presentations, and there were really nice chairs in that one. Now I'm getting sidetracked by chairs. Yeah, but okay. All right, we'll sort of like just ease into a nice conversation here. Non-spoiler at first. I'm sure we'll get to
start. Because we have a guest who is more fresh-faced than me at this point with comics.
This is true.
What's your experience with Batman?
Oh, with Batman, I've really only seen the movies.
Have you seen all the films or most?
I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've watched some of the older ones because I was just a kid when they came out, and they came out before I was born.
Cool.
So well, let's do a rundown. So the '66 Adam West film. Have you seen that?
I don't think you've seen that one.
I'm not sure. My oldest Batman memory would be of the one with Poison Ivy, Dr. Freeze.
That was the first Batman movie we watched. I think because it was like on TV.
Okay, you know what? Weird experience. That was my first Batman film too. Batman and Robin. It was just on TV one day, and that was the first time I had ever experienced Batman. But yes, okay, so there's that. There are the two Michael Keaton films, Batman and Batman Returns, with Jack Nicholson as Joker, Danny DeVito as Penguin, and all of them. Have you seen those?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
I believe I saw both of them. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so obviously we had them on VHS.
So obviously Batman and Robin, Batman Forever with Jim Carrey as Riddler. You seen that?
I have vague memories, but I literally don't remember a single thing from it.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Nolan trilogy: Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises.
I've seen those. Okay.
And then
I want to figure out. Did you see them in order though? Because I distinctly remember.
I don't think I did, to be honest.
Because Dad owned Batman Begins, and I know we rented Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. I never saw Dark Knight until I saw
recently. Dark Knight. And Jacob, I'm pretty sure you saw Dark Knight, but you might have repressed it for whatever reason. But hey,
I learned today that Jacob repressed the memory of watching Batman Brave and the Bold Mayhem of the Music Meister, which is one of the most fun Batman experiences you will ever have. And I don't know why you suppressed that, Jake.
I don't know, because I was like 8.
But it's so much fucking fun.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's got Neil Patrick Harris in it singing as a Batman villain.
It's so great. And James Arnold Taylor as Green Arrow and Grey Delisle as Black Canary.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But then okay, so then any of the Ben Affleck stuff, Batman v Superman, Justice League, anything like that?
None of those.
Wait,
yet.
no.
Actually, no, I did see the Justice League. I'm pretty sure
in theaters.
In theaters
with
Oh,
me.
so you saw Justice
Mhm.
League.
Not the recut. The
yeah.
cut,
Cole, we own a copy of the recut.
we do.
We do. I purchased. I was able to get a nice copy of the entire trilogy. I just haven't had time to sit down and watch the damn thing.
Perfect movie day. It's like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's like 10 hours all together. Just sit down for a day and do that.
It's technically shorter than the extended cut of Lord of the Rings.
It is. See, look at it that
It is, yeah.
look at it that way. And then, of course, so now we have the newest live-action incarnation of Batman, the Batman, Robert Pattinson. I guess that's a good segue into beginning. Robert Pattinson as Batman. What did we think?
I liked it. There's a couple of scenes where it kind of took me out just from the cinematography wise, but other than that, I enjoyed it. There's much worse movies out there, and I think this is one of the better ones for 2020 that's come out.
2020?
I mean 2022. I'm still stuck 2 years ago.
But I was talking about Robert Pattinson's performance as Batman.
Oh yeah, no, he was a great actor. I mean, I couldn't really pin one guy as being a bad actor in there. It was all a really great performance from all the actors.
Definitely. I think of course anyone's worries about casting the Twilight guy as Batman are dispelled at this point.
No.
So yeah, just a fantastic performance. I've heard some complaints that he has a hard time distinguishing the performance between Bruce Wayne and Batman. Which
that would be one critique I have.
I'd argue that that's kind of the point.
Yeah, it is the fact that like he's come back, and this is a Bruce Wayne that wants to be Batman like all the time. So he is like, as a Bruce Wayne public figure, he has completely shut himself off from the rest of Gotham City. He doesn't want any part of that life. So if he could have that suit on all the time and be Batman, he would absolutely do that. And a lot of this film is about breaking through that. And of course, we'll talk more about that in spoilers. But I think it's definitely on purpose. Is that like those two personalities are very similar.
I love the way Pattinson just sort of physically acts. Like
yeah.
His body posture is very great, like the way he moves around the scene and stuff like that.
Like when he's out of the suit, he's kind of like, it's this very awkward, I don't quite know what to be doing unless I'm like at the Bat computer at Wayne Tower. But in the suit, he's very much confident, like, I've got this. Yeah, I'm going to enter the police crime scene.
On Batman's characterization in this, though, he's a much more public figure than I would have imagined him to be. I've like Batman as the vigilante of Gotham. Like there's a whole, like, it's not a spoiler to say, like there's a whole scene, because it's in the trailers, whole scene where he goes into like this crime scene, and he's with the police force, and the media is there, and they're taking pictures of him, and are like, wow, people just know Batman. This is just a public figure. Everyone knows this guy. But on that, the history of Batman before this, we sort of jump right into it. He's been Batman for 2 years. Before the film even starts up, we have like these journal entries that he talks about, like, this is what I've become in these past 2 years. This is my relationship with the police force and Jim Gordon in particular. But I really like that we didn't really waste any time at all with the origin, and yet the film is still 3 hours. And on that runtime, it does not feel like 3 hours, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does not feel like 3 hours. I do have to agree with that.
Like, it just flew by for me, honestly.
Like, we saw it was a 6:30 showing, right? So like we got into our seats, and like I did not feel the time. Like it. I think that's a testament to Matt Reeves as a director.
It's got a great pace to it.
Knowing how to pace things. Like he's also very smart. Like I know Cole asked me, like, this is like the first one with Pattinson, right? Because like they didn't.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a critique I have too. If you don't know anything about Batman, I don't know if you should watch this movie, because like I feel like there should have been a little bit more exposition for beforehand, because I think you were telling me the comics pick up. It was like some comic that's like 2 years in, something like that.
That's one of its primary inspirations.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that, like, this backstory I feel like was a little bit different from the traditional Batman backstory, where they're leaving the theaters, they get cornered in an alley, and the mother and father dies, leaving the kid Bruce traumatized by bats. I think it's been a while, but yeah.
You're on the right track. I think that's very deliberate though, because Reeves is very self-aware of the public figure that Batman is to most people, and just sort of says, okay, we know where he comes from, let's get right into it. But at the same time, you learn about Thomas and Martha Wayne as we go through it. So it still is pretty friendly to new viewers, I think. Maybe not right at the start, but as we delve more into these characters, like you really get a feel for the world and where Bruce was before this point.
It's also a really good job of showing and not telling. Like, I mean, how many times have we seen the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne?
Oh God! Well, there's Batman '89. If we're just talking the films, Batman '89,
Batman Forever.
They're doing it again in Batman Forever, Batman Begins, and Batman v Superman, and now. Oh, no, not even now. You don't see it now.
So we've seen.
I definitely joked before on the podcast that I will never get tired of seeing these fuckers die. But honestly, it was nice to not see these fuckers die. For once, it was really refreshing, and also gives us this separation. Because obviously Bruce has a very personal connection to when other people in the city start talking about Thomas and Martha Wayne, and if people were to start slandering Thomas and Martha Wayne, Bruce takes that very personally. But there's this disconnect because we didn't personally know Thomas and Martha Wayne, that we can look at that as the rest of Gotham and say, okay, this is what someone else is saying about Thomas and Martha. We don't know who they were personally, but Bruce does, and this is his reaction to that.
It's also fascinating that we never actually really see any footage of Martha Wayne. Like, we see archival footage of Thomas Wayne, basically.
Yeah.
In news broadcasts, which is very interesting.
Yeah. More on that in spoilers, of course.
Especially because they did some things differently that I wasn't expecting.
I'm curious. I shouldn't make this point because it's definitely a spoiler.
Ask it later. We will
because there's something that was definitely inspired by, I think, and I'm curious if you're aware of this version that they're doing with Thomas and Martha Wayne. But more on that later, I guess. But yeah, Pattinson absolutely killed it. But with Pattinson most of the time, I want to segue into our next actor that I want to talk about is Andy Serkis as Alfred, who I adored. Has Alfred ever been badly cast? I don't think so. I don't think there's ever been a bad Alfred.
No. Because
I don't think so.
Even right down to the shitty Birds of Prey show has Ian Abercrombie as Alfred, and he's brilliant.
Has Ian Abercrombie as
Alfred, and he's the best thing about that whole show, aside from Mark Hamill doing the voice of a live-action Joker.
That has Mark Hamill as. I need to watch.
In that show they do a scene where they give Barbara's backstory and they show the Killing Joke, and it's a body double standing in for Joker, and Mark Hamill does a couple lines.
Really?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. Like that and Ian Abercrombie are like the two good things about the show.
No, Andy Serkis wasn't in the movie nearly as much as I thought he would be.
Yeah, but he does make such a big impact, though.
Yeah, when he has a scene, it's great. Like, Cole, you'll know that scene that I'm talking about.
Oh yes,
yeah. It's one of my favorite scenes in the film. Yeah, it's so good. But really, we take this approach on Alfred that's definitely more a Alfred does still see himself as a father to Bruce, but Bruce hasn't quite accepted him as his new father figure yet. Bruce still sees him as just his butler, a close friend. That's about it. And again, a lot of the journey of this film is getting to that point. This film simultaneously does the whole, we know so much about the Batman universe, let's build on from there, but also still getting us to a point where we need to know these characters like we do so much already. Like I would say, Bruce and Alfred and their relationship is not quite to what we know it as most of the time, while all this groundwork has already been done before the film even starts.
I'd also say it's interesting to see Serkis really make the part his own. Like, he isn't
definitely
pulling from it would be so easy to pull from Michael Caine or Michael Goff.
If I were to compare him to any other Alfred, I would say it's Jeremy Irons.
Yeah,
he's about the closest he comes to.
That's kind of the closest, even though Irons in Justice League.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Because it's been a while since I've seen Justice League.
You have Zack Snyder's Justice League. Just saying, just watch it. But no, Irons was in that, and I love his performance. But even then, they're not similar. They're not too similar, because it is still a very different relationship with Bruce.
and just a very different style of film. Like
Yeah.
like even with like what like just Snyder and Whedon both as directors are very different from Matt Reeves, and I think that's very telling. Also, there was a housekeeper lady.
Yeah.
And when she showed up, because I had watched
what?
a couple episodes.
I was gonna say, isn't that the Adam West thing?
The Adam West show earlier that day.
Does she have the same name? I forget.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's supposed to be Aunt Harriet.
Okay.
yeah, Cole. In the Adam West show, there is a character called Aunt Harriet.
They're not entirely clear whose aunt it is.
I think it's supposed to be Dick's aunt.
Is it? Which then why is Dick living with Bruce?
Yeah, I know that has a whole lot of questions. like there's a character called Aunt Harriet, and there's it's nice to see Alfred not just be the only person on the Wayne staff.
Yeah, because realistically, there would be more people.
Yeah.
But on that, I guess we should talk about the realism of the film. A lot of people have compared this film to the Dark Knight trilogy in its gritty realism, but also me and Jacob, as comic fans, it's probably the most comic accurate Batman movie we have.
It's scarily accurate.
You can read like 3 Batman stories, and all the 3 main ones by Jeff Loeb, and basically have a lot of the basis for this film. It's Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and Hush are definitely like the big inspirations here. There's a bit of Year One, a tiny bit of Dark Knight Returns.
It was refreshing to have very little Frank Miller influence on a Batman movie.
Yeah, it's literally just Selena's background and the way they use the media in the film. I think that's about
even
it.
Then Selena's background is heavily altered.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they don't do.
Yeah.
I mean, they still do certain things, but where Selena, it's more where Selena comes from, not where she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But on that, I guess let's talk about Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. Thoughts?
So,
I enjoyed it. It's nice to have Catwoman back in the DC franchise because I feel like she had. When was the last time she was in the DC universe or any film? Like Batman Return? Is that
no. Dark Knight Rises. With Anne Hathaway.
Remember Anne Hathaway, but they never call her Catwoman in that movie.
Yeah, I love Anne Hathaway too. I don't think there's been a bad live action Catwoman. Oh wait, no, Halle Berry. Hang on, I was about to get my fucking words.
Did you know? Have you heard of the 2004 Catwoman film that is terrible?
Oh, I have not even heard of that. So no,
it's really Halle Berry as Catwoman in a solo Catwoman film with no other Batman characters in it.
Wow,
barely any clothing, honestly.
Bold,
yeah,
and magic cat powers.
It is something. Have you ever seen it, Jacob?
I haven't.
Damn. You are both very lucky. But yeah, no, I loved Zoe Kravitz. I thought she was great.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, obviously, if you listen to the rest of the podcast, me and Jacob are big fans of Batman and Catwoman as a relationship, and this film definitely leans into that. And
it leans into that hard.
It does. Yeah, very hard.
Yeah. There were some really great moments between the two of them, and Pattinson and Kravitz just have really great chemistry. I love them together.
And there's a lot of good visual storytelling with the relationship, especially near the end of the film.
Yeah,
there's a scene involving motorcycles. I will say no more.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love that scene.
It is a really well shot scene.
I love that scene.
A really good example of how to show and not tell.
Yeah, definitely. And it says so much. I absolutely love it. But of course, Catwoman is not the only Batman antagonist returning to the big screen. Do we want to do Penguin or Riddler first?
Let's do Penguin because Cole, you had an interesting perspective on Penguin.
Okay,
knowing Danny DeVito.
Okay, so you only do Danny DeVito. You didn't know
Correct.
Like the Arkham games or anything like that?
No. When I played the Arkham games, it was more of just like every once in a while playing them because let's be honest here, Jacob, we had to share the console and you mostly played the Arkham games.
The Arkham games were mine.
Yeah, basically. So I didn't get a lot of playtime on those. So I really just played it to like for the combat system and just like a normal video game enjoyment. That I haven't seen. I believe he shows up the animated show. I could be wrong about that.
Even then, the animated series is a pretty far cry from where we go with this one. I would say like if there's another adapted version that's close to this, I'd say it's Arkham City. Like
Yeah,
that's
okay.
about the closest you get.
But anyways, I really enjoyed this penguin. Instead of it being like Danny DeVito, a little like a basement dweller eating a fish, you know. Instead, he's
Yeah.
an actual like mafia boss or like gang boss. I don't think that gives too much away. That and he's
No,
like a
no, you're
leader.
good. Yeah.
I don't know. It's he plays like a back seat in this show compared to I believe when Danny DeVito took the role, and I
Yeah.
actually really enjoyed his performance too.
It's this is typically how Penguin is as a character, how Oswald Cobblepot is. The Batman Returns thing was definitely a Tim Burton thing. Like he took the characters of Penguin and Catwoman and literally made them penguins and cats.
Yeah.
Because it's Tim Burton, and
because it's
Tim
Tim
Burton,
Burton, and we love it. We absolutely love it. But at the same time, fuck, it's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love Colin Farrell. First off, it's Colin Farrell, if you can believe it. The makeup
so
is
many good prosthetics.
Yeah,
absolutely
I'm just
insane.
now looking up his like pictures. He looks so different, but the makeup, they add some scars to his face. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's such a great prosthetic job, and the fact that Colin Farrell can still act through the prosthetics, it's really great. He's also like the main source of comedic relief in the film, which that's another thing I've seen people say is that the film has no comedy in it at all. There are plenty of jokes, like just enough to get you by throughout.
I think Cole, we in our theater experience we had some people laughing at times.
Yeah,
like,
we did.
Like at the right moments too, like at those perfect like tension cutting like little bits, like
yeah, like when Joss Whedon said make it dark, make it grim, and for the love of God tell a joke, he wasn't talking about the MCU formula. He's talking about this. Like this is it. This is just the right amount to undercut your drama just enough to keep your audience invested.
This might be a hot take, but I kind of like this style of film where it's less comedy versus like something like Marvel, like Thor Ragnarok. Ragnarok, my bad. It was a great film. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't very gritty. You know, it was a lot more comedic, and I feel like Marvel movies, as they go on, they get more and more like comedy central than versus action or grittiness.
I love this perspective because you're a very casual fan, aren't you? Like you're not really like invested in a lot of this. So this is really cool to hear.
Yeah.
It's an opinion that a lot of us in the community have shared for a while. So to see that sort of seeping into the casual audience, and it's really fascinating to hear.
In my opinion, Marvel stuff has gotten kind of stale ever since Endgame. Which I believe that did come out in 2020, maybe 2019. I don't really know.
2019.
19? Okay.
Because I think we saw it in theaters.
And I think so too. And that would be pretty.
I mean, hey, it's still possible if you saw like something in the first 3 months of 2020.
No, because the last thing we both saw in theaters before COVID was Knives Out.
I can't remember the last thing I saw before COVID.
Yeah.
God, what even was it? Was it? I think it was. Was it Rise of Skywalker? I think it was.
I have completely lost track of the Star Wars films, but that's a podcast for another day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think it was Rise of Skywalker.
No. I love this like new take on the superhero films where it isn't like Suicide Squad either, where that's also very comedic, but it's trying to be comedic. So I give that one a pass. But I love this take on superhero genre.
I mean, the Suicide Squad was James Gunn, so like.
Yeah,
you're gonna get comedy.
Yeah, and also Suicide Squad as a concept isn't one that expressly tries to take itself seriously a lot of the time. So there's that. But that's just a really cool perspective to have there. Moving on, the last and main villain of the film is the Riddler, played by Paul Dano, who is an interesting character who definitely mostly get his time to shine in the spoiler section. But as non-spoilers you can, thoughts?
Definitely not from the comics. Definitely its own take, which isn't a bad thing.
No, not a bad thing. I mean, a lot the basis of Riddler is just, guy that commits crimes with involving riddles.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I knew about Riddler before walking into this, and I think the movie stands up to that.
Yeah. What I noticed, and this is still more a thing for spoilers, but there was influence from another Batman villain that may have inspired this version of the Riddler, but still with the core concepts of the Riddler and Edward Nygma as we know him in the comics. But like I said, most of what we have to say about the performance will wait until spoilers. But
I will say it's a very interesting statement on the nature of parasocial relationships, just in general. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's very Reeves. there's of course the idea that comic book stuff isn't political. Reeves has made a very politically charged film.
He has. He really has.
And that is it's a great thing.
And I swear it's not because Selena said white privilege once.
No,
that's not political.
No.
A lot of the politics of the film do come from the Riddler as a character, and honestly, he's political in a really scary way.
In a very scary,
Paul Dano
very
at times.
real way. Like Dano was terrifying.
Yeah, he's fucking terrifying at times. Yeah.
The first shot of the film. This isn't really a spoiler. The first shots involve the Riddler. Like we are opening with him, and that is our tone setter. And
and one thing that I really love is that Reeves makes this personal connection between Batman and Riddler as characters that really gets the audience invested in both your main villain and your main hero, which is something we don't see in a lot of comic book films these days. Is the villain getting the same amount of care as the hero?
Yeah, usually, like I know, like a lot of Marvel movies like to just sort of make the villains almost an afterthought.
Yeah, absolutely. Aside from like Loki,
Loki,
Winter Soldier, and Thanos.
I mean, WandaVision did a good job too, just as a show of doing, but that also didn't have a traditional antagonistic villain.
Yeah. But moving on. Like I said, more on Dano later. Let's see. Gotta talk about one of my personal favorite things about the film. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, who was so great.
We have come such a long way from Pat Hingle in the Burton Schumacher film.
we really have.
Yeah, Cole.
Really
you'd be maybe surprised to know Jim Gordon is a character in all of like the old 80s and 90s Batman films.
Impossible.
He has nothing to do in those films, and it's terrible.
Yeah. I think honestly, like the first like live action Batman media to really make Jim Gordon a proper character was the Dark Knight trilogy. We really do owe a lot to Gary Oldman and his amazing performance in the Dark Knight trilogy. But moving on to here, I really do love Jeffrey Wright. Another source of like just light comedy in this film. And I mean, not that he's inherently a comedic character. But like he has a lot of the lighter moments in the film. But what I really loved was his relationship with Batman, because Batman, as I mentioned, is a very public figure in this film. Gordon's relationship with Batman is also very public, and how close they are and how closely they work together.
Yeah, and Wright captures like the proper sort of the way to portray a character like Gordon, and there's a lot of implications that he is also very much he is not the commissioner that we would know, that you would know. He still has a long way to become the commissioner. Like the bat signal,
and not just the fact that he's literally not the commissioner.
Yeah,
it's not just a title, but it's a status for Gordon as a character to achieve.
Yeah, but like he's also he's very much like it's very much an interesting take sort of on Gordon's role in Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Very much bringing Batman into the police force to try to solve the crimes of this serial killer who, no one knows how he does it, sort of why he's doing it. And, you're just sort of unwrapping the puzzle. And it's almost a buddy cop dynamic.
It is. It really is. Yeah. Yeah. Batman is like the straight man. Gordon is the wisecracking, younger guy to the side, despite being literally older. But it's a really fun dynamic between the two of them. And Gordon's just a great character in general. I love the way he's characterized in this. Just really great stuff. Any other regulars to talk about in this? I do want to mention John Turturro is in this as Carmine Falcone, one of me and Jacob's favorite characters from the comics, from Batman comics, that is. And John Turturro is Carmine Falcone. He's great. He's really, really great.
I am only disappointed that they don't include Sophia Falcone. I
mean, it's a long ass film. It could only be made better by the inclusion of the Falcone family plus maybe the Gordon family. But room for the Gordon family in sequels, of course.
Yeah. Yes. I have some. We need to talk about some theories in the spoiler section.
Oh yes,
because I have thoughts on where we could be going.
Yeah, definitely. Aside from the obvious where we're going. Yeah. More on that later. But I guess what else? I guess does that about cover it for main cast?
Yeah, we may as well just do like a quick if you haven't seen the Batman yet.
If you haven't seen the Batman, fucking see it.
Go
It's been
see
out.
it.
It's been out for 2 weeks by the time this comes out. Please see it.
As a non-comic book Batman fan, I would definitely go watch it. It is, like I said, the best movie of 2022 so far.
This can go in the non-spoiler section. The score by Michael Giacomo.
Oh my god, yes, I forgot to mention it. Yes, oh my god, so fucking good. You know what? My favorite moment of the score, and I'll say this non-spoilery. Try to when Batman uncovers that one thing in the apartment, and when he's with the one cop, and he uncovers the one thing. The way that moment is scored, tying it into the Riddler, I fucking love that. Do you know the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, just the leitmotif in the film is
oh my god,
beautiful.
so good. I love it. I love it. So damn good.
Cole, you noticed the music, didn't you?
Oh yeah, especially in that scene. Like that scene was just shot beautifully, and like everything about that scene was probably that's probably one of the best scenes in the movie, if I do say so myself.
Yeah,
plot wise, just the shooting of it, it was amazing.
It was, yeah. Wow, what a film. If you haven't watched my Batman movie tier maker video, which just came out 2 weeks ago at the start of our Bat Month celebrations, go check that out. I guess I could say it. Yeah, this is my favorite Batman movie right now. For me, I fucking love this. I absolutely love this. But I guess let's really delve into why I love this in our official spoiler section. So if you've not seen the Batman, I strongly urge you to not keep going, because the first thing I do want to talk about is insanely spoilery. So please leave right now. All right, the first thing I do want to mention, it is the obvious thing, but the first thing I do want to mention is this film, I noticed, has the same ensemble cast as Batman 66 starring Adam West. You've got Catwoman, the Penguin, the Riddler, and the Joker. So Barry Keoghan plays the Joker. Now, are you familiar with Barry Keoghan as an actor?
I'm not, and
I am not
terrible with actors' names.
He was in the Eternals recently, so he's doing both DC and Marvel right now.
Okay.
So
I did not see Eternals because I kind of fell off the MCU in a lot of ways with Endgame.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Eternals I will say, is not the best way to jump back into the MCU if you're trying to.
I have heard nothing but mixed things.
It's a very mixed movie. But Barry Keoghan is one of the best things about it, and I love him as an actor right now. So where to go with this?
So, well, let's be honest. There were a lot of surprising parallels to the 1966 Adam West Batman.
The
Batmobile looks it's a lot like that Batmobile.
Yeah. I love this Batmobile.
Yeah.
It looks like a car. It looks like
a muscle car with rockets on the back. How can you not love it?
Yeah. But on the Joker, I was watching this interview with Matt Reeves where you could tell Matt Reeves just wanted to talk about this the second the movie was out, because this came out the day after I saw it, which was opening day. So Matt Reeves was talking about his approach to the Joker, and apparently they did actually shoot another scene with Barry Keoghan as Joker.
And didn't they also film fake scenes?
Yeah, they officially cast Barry Keoghan as Stanley Markle, who is a character from the Jeff Loeb and Frank Miller comics that we've read, Jake.
Which I think that's a really clever way to get people off the scent, because it's
especially in today's culture of leaking information online and how that works.
Stanley Merkel is Cole. He is not a big character. He is a cop who is there in year one. I think
he's not in Long Halloween. I think maybe gets a mention, and then he dies in Dark Victory.
And I'm fairly certain he's mentioned in Dark Knight Returns.
I believe. Oh yes, I believe so. Yeah. But also it's not unreasonable to say hey, we're shooting scenes with Barry Keoghan at Arkham, and that could still be Stanley Merkel. Yeah. That's not a big deal to say.
Yeah, no, it's a cop.
But of course, it was massively rumored at the time, despite all this, that he was playing the Joker, and of course he is, and he's brilliant. I gotta say, he's absolutely brilliant. I really, really love him. in that same interview with Reeves, he talked about the literal approach he took to the Joker, which was ironically the way the character that the Joker, when he was first drawn in Batman #1, what he was based on, the silent film The Man Who Laughs.
Yes.
So he like has that. I don't know. Is it a real disorder?
It's a rictus grin. It's
Okay.
not like it's a thing that happens. It's not like a specific disorder.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he can't stop smiling. So we took that like literally. So he's not like the Joker as we come to know him. But Reeves also did talk about how he shot another scene with Batman and the Joker in the same room because Batman's trying to get a profile on the Riddler, and he goes to like this previous psychotic killer that he has dealt with, who will one day become the Joker.
Drawing on the scenes from Long Halloween with Calendar Man, apparently.
Oh my god. This film is so Jeff Loeb. It is so Jeff Loeb. I saw this with my brother and a friend of ours, and I just kept turning to both of them. I was like, guys, you got to read these fucking books.
I want to see if I can get Cole to read any of the books.
I was like,
I barely read my like lab instructions for school. You really think I'm gonna read in my free time?
Oh my god! But like, I kept going to both of them. I was like, guys, I will give you Long Halloween. I'll give you Dark Victory. I'll give you Hush. Just fucking read it all. It's so fucking good. But yeah, so that was like sort of the approach that Reeves took to Keown's Joker. On the performance though, did we like what we heard?
I didn't dislike it, but I'm also still a little wary because he's doing enough to differentiate himself from Heath Ledger.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, in pop culture, Heath Ledger is going to be one of those just prevailing, this is what the Joker should be.
Mm-hmm.
And despite liking The Dark Knight and liking Ledger's performance,
I don't think Ledger's the Joker though. You know,
I like the Joker to actually be funny. Like in The Killing Joke, when he shows up at the Gordon's home, and you have that scene. It is a terrifying scene, but he's also cracking really funny dark jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
from what I know as Joker as a character from watching clips of Mark Hamill's animated Joker and past previous Jokers and somewhat Jared Leto, kind of. He wasn't that great, but I think this is a better showing of what the Joker actually is as a character versus Heath Ledger's kind of dark.
You want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Also, just a better, like, if we're gonna find a realistic reason for the Joker's smile to exist, I prefer this over how I got these scars. Yeah. I'll take this. You know, even if you didn't like the performance, though, that laugh. I love the laugh.
Good laugh.
I love the laugh. Just a great performance, just in that little bit that we saw. And I know Reeves has said that he's going to release the extra scene that they shot with him. And I know they made like a whole look for him, even if it's not a proper like Joker look. They made a look for him, and I know he said he's going to release that eventually. But I'm sure give more time for people to see it. Hell, it may be out by the time this episode comes out. Who knows?
Well, I mean, that might be one they save for like the Blu-ray release.
Maybe. But yeah, so just to get that big spoiler out of the way, let's delve into some of the things that we were talking about before. I want to touch on Bruce and Alfred's familial relationship first, in that Bruce does not think of Alfred as a father. And we get this bit, first off, I had like a genuine heart attack in the theater when it looked like Reeves was going to kill off Alfred.
Yes.
When they were starting to build that up with Alfred holding the bomb, I thought to myself, I was like I hadn't thought about it before, but I thought to myself, I was like, oh shit, you know what Reeves would? He fucking would.
Yeah, it's very much like he's not. Is he going to? Is he going to?
I think it was funny when when my brother and I went to go see it. There's actually like somebody in the theater like screaming almost like pick up the phone.
Oh my god!
Because the way they do that is like the phone happens later, but it was like a sound thing, and
it's a very good misdirect. It's a very good misdirect. So they're not happening concurrently. So like by the time Bruce finds out that that he
calls his call actually gets through.
Yeah.
What's her name? Oh my god!
I don't know. I just want to call her Aunt Harriet.
Let's call her Aunt Harriet. But yeah, so when he actually gets through to Aunt Harriet, she's like, "Oh yeah, it happened an hour ago," and I was like, "Oh fuck, Alfred's gonna be fucking dead." He fucking is. Luckily, he isn't. He is bedridden in a hospital for the rest of the film.
Even when he's bedridden in the hospital, I didn't think he was safe. I was like,
see, I don't know. I feel like once you do that, like once you get that big life-threatening situation out of the way, once that's done, then you're like, okay, Alfred's probably in the clear. Like I know, like from that point, I was like, okay, he'll be fine. If they had, my heart would have actually been broken, and I may have just walked out of the theater. But because genuinely, I love Andy Serkis as Alfred, and I really would have been upset. I think it would have definitely been a big missed opportunity if we had killed him off this early. But from this hospital bed, we get one of the best scenes of the film, which we alluded to earlier. We get this great scene after Riddler has made this hit piece on Thomas Wayne, and we talk about like Thomas Wayne's like dirty deeds, when he was like running for mayor, because he was running for mayor, right? If I remember correctly,
yes.
Yeah, he's running for mayor. We make this big hit piece on Thomas Wayne,
and we've already been revealed a couple of things. We've already been revealed that basically one of the big twists in Long Halloween is canon in this universe, that Thomas Wayne one night saved Carmine Falcone's son,
which is Long Halloween,
which is long. Halloween. Oh my god, it's just Long Halloween.
They do it all, even right down to fucking Falcone being Catwoman's mother or
fucking
father. I can't see. But yeah, right down to Falcone being Catwoman's father. Like it's all there. It's all Jeff Loeb. This whole film is Jeff Loeb. But yeah,
which is again, it's so refreshing not to have a Frank Miller. It's Jeff Loeb and Scott Snyder, because let's be honest, so much of the tech is very Scott Snyder.
I will say, once you read, well, you already know, like the Riddler centric arc in the Snyder run is 0 Year. They straight up do some plot points from 0 Year in this, and I won't say what exactly, of course, because you're going to read the story eventually. But they do some 0 Year plot points.
Yeah, it's such a I love the mix. I love that we are building up this idea, that Thomas Wayne could have been evil. And of course, John Turturro as Falcone plays it up and is kind of hamming it up a little bit.
I think it's just the right amount. Like I don't think
he is. Yeah, but it's a good ham. Everybody loves a good ham. Yeah, it's a good type of ham.
Yeah. But yeah, so after all this has happened, Riddler makes this hit piece on Thomas. Bruce confronts Alfred when Alfred first wakes up from his fucking coma in the hospital. Bruce, he's like, what do you know? Why didn't you tell me my father was a shitty person? And we get this really great dual perspective here of like, yeah, Thomas did some shady things, but he wasn't a bad guy. And I love that scene where we get Alfred's side of the story, and that's the moment when Bruce finally sees Alfred as his father, and I love that moment.
Which again,
oh my god, the character development, it's so good.
It's so good. It's very it's one of the things that makes me think that this trilogy is going to be going towards some sort of Bat family. Like,
please, I mean, that's the next thing I wanted to talk about was Bruce's relationship with children. Because we got to talk about that. Of course,
Cole, you said something to me as we were leaving the theater.
I had that thought too. I know exactly what you're
about. I believe that the half orphan in the beginning, where I forget the character's name, he's gonna become the new Robin. That's gonna be my prediction, because there's a couple times, both when Bruce Wayne was both Batman and Bruce Wayne, where he gave him just like a blank, like almost death stare, like intensely staring. Like if it was taken out of context, it'd be kind of creepy.
I get where you're coming from, but obviously I think that for me that moment is definitely Bruce seeing like, okay, this is like me. This is a kid who has lost his parents at a young age. He shouldn't have to be going through this. But really, and I had that thought too. I was like, okay, we could be setting up Robin stuff, but I think really we're just setting up Batman's relationship with children and how he feels about kids going through the same things that he has. And also, I think Reeves is the kind of director that wouldn't waste finally a proper adaptation of Dick Grayson on another kid. And I think we really need a proper live action Dick Grayson.
We do. However, I hope if we do get Dick Grayson, they don't try to adapt Death in the Family with Dick Grayson in that role. Like,
no. Well, I mean, we just had that with Snyder. So,
because Snyder technically did do Death in the Family.
Because Snyder only had one Robin, and that Robin was killed by Joker, so it was Dick, and
no. I hope we get. I'd like to see a Dick Grayson that eventually then evolves into Nightwing in film.
I would love that. Oh, please. But
I think more importantly is the understanding of Bruce learning learning where the Riddler was coming from in general, and then using that to become a symbol of hope. Like,
I love Bruce's general arc in this because Batman is obviously a symbol of fear. Nobody is denying that, but that's where he starts out, and that is still where we end. But Batman sees why he cannot just be a symbol of fear. He needs to be a symbol of hope as well, and that's where we're getting throughout this. Which, yeah, I think you're right, Jacob. Like, we're definitely heading towards some sort of Bat family. We have to be at this point, Like, we wouldn't waste all this time setting up probably the most optimistic version of Batman we've had in live action, which is weird because it is such a dark film.
It is a dark movie, but it still ends on just this nice image of hope. Like this is a movie where Batman essentially loses at the end.
Yeah.
But he's also won in a very different way.
Yeah.
Like,
I would call it a stalemate, to be quite honest.
I'd call it a stalemate.
Because yes, the Riddler did blow up the water dams or whatever, but Batman did stop. It's not very realistic because I'm pretty sure those structures really only are supposed to protect Gotham in case of a hurricane. But hey, who am I? I'm not a civil engineer.
Oh yeah, audience. Cole's trying to be an engineer. So
I'm going to
like me with science. He becomes nitpicky when it comes to engineering.
Also, some of the practical effects kind of lost me in the realism, but I digress. But at the end, like, he stops all the gimp masked Riddler knockoffs.
He stops the gimp mask.
It's a gimp mask. I know they say it's like some sort of military winter mask in one of the screens with the comments on the fake Instagram, but it's a gimp mask. Let's be honest here.
God damn it.
But yeah, he wins but loses at the same time. I would definitely call that a stalemate.
I do want to jump back to Thomas Wayne for a second. Are either of you familiar with Batman Telltale?
I have played some of it.
Okay.
I have not. I didn't even know Telltale Games made a Batman.
Yeah, they did 2.
Yeah, they did 2 seasons of it. Yeah.
And they're apparently really good.
It's damn good. Yeah.
It's got Laura Bailey as Catwoman and Travis Willingham as Harvey Dent.
And Troy Baker as Batman.
Oh, yeah, the only Telltale games I'm experienced in is the Walking Dead one, and I've played.
I mean, it's up to the same standard, Telltale. Okay. Telltale is always quality. But yeah, if I don't know how much you played of it, Jacob.
I played like the first chapter or so. So yes, there is a reveal about like Thomas Wayne having dirty dealings with the Falcones.
Yeah. But Telltale is definitely the adaptation that has leaned the most into Thomas Wayne being a dirty politician. Which is a take that, I could definitely see. It's definitely a more realistic take than, I am the man that my father wanted me to be, my father was perfect, which is definitely the approach of like the Bale films, I would say. I think of those flashbacks in Batman Begins where we have like those scenes of like Thomas Wayne is like the perfect father, and I'm like, okay, that's nice, and one could feel like that's more the way Bruce sees him, but I think that's how Nolan portrays the character, and it's an interesting take on it. But I definitely prefer the more realistic take on it, and that is the Long Halloween version where Thomas Wayne did kind of help save a crime boss's life.
A crime boss who would go on to kill several people and be embroiled with his family in not one but 2 instances of a year-long serial killings.
Yeah, and also in this film in particular, the man he saved would eventually come to be the reason he died.
Yes,
which is this wonderful cruel irony that Reeves plays around with. But on that, John Turturro. I love his role in this. I love we do sort of do the Long Halloween thing where it's this transition of crime bosses of Gotham to supervillains. Even though we've already had one big supervillain in this world, if the Joker's backstory is to be believed. But we see the fall of the Falcone crime organization here, and we see how Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin is like his right hand man in this, and we see that sort of like tension between the two of them and how they play off each other. So when Falcone eventually dies in the film, you feel this tension release, and Penguin is sort of set to run free. I mean, he's not a free man, of course, but he's definitely risen in power.
Risen in power, and they've also already set up his legitimate business operation at the Iceberg Lounge.
Yeah, little in the fact that Falcone is the most powerful person in Gotham, and he was killed by a supervillain, the Riddler. So there's that.
In a brilliant twist of like I was so the whole thing is that the Riddler's riddle is like, bring the rat into the light, essentially. I thought that was just going to be, expose him. I thought we were speaking metaphorically.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone in the theater thought it was speaking metaphorically.
And then no, it's literal. Bring him into a light so I can shoot him in the face.
So fucking good.
Yeah. Which is so good. Again, terrifying. The riddles are also, what I really like is that they're not too difficult that like nobody could solve them.
Well, even the ones when I love the scene at the funeral when the DA has the bomb around his neck and you have like the 3 riddles that we have to answer in 2 minutes, and Batman's like, no, these are easy. Here you go. Here are the answers. And if you just say this last one, just give away who the rat was, that everything will be fine. And I love that one where like it's a very easy riddle. Just say the name, and the DA dies because of it.
Yeah.
Really. I love that whole funeral sequence. I thought it was brilliant.
Same.
I love how we play around with Catwoman not being with Falcone. I like how Bruce is like, this is pretty much the only actual scene in the film where Bruce is in public as Bruce Wayne. And so I love how he plays around with that, like how the mayoral candidate talks to him, and how she plays off of him, and how Bruce talks to everyone else there. Like it's really interesting seeing him interact in that setting, and then eventually come back as Batman and take on this totally different aura. Really, really interesting stuff. But we mentioned Riddler. We got to talk about how fucking scary this man is. And not just how scary he was literally, but how real world scary he was.
Like, yeah. So this is very much Reeves's take on radicalization through the internet. Like,
yeah,
it is, and how instances of real world like terror attacks happen because of radicalization through the internet.
Before we get into this, I want to say this, and it's an observation that I had that everyone I've talked to about it has agreed with. Edward Nashton, as he is called in this, which I know another Riddler adaptation used the last name Nashton instead of Nigma, but I can't remember which one. I don't know, but anyway, I think Edward is definitely meant to be on the autistic spectrum. Everyone I've talked to about this has agreed with that. And they never like outright say it. So it's not like negative representation because you're like, hey, here's an autistic person. Oh yeah, and they're fucking mass murderer. No, it's subtext. And
it's some semi-problematic coding. Like
but on purpose. Like it's not trying to say like, this is the representation we need, because it's not, obviously. But it's a really interesting take on the character, and I think it's fair to say that a lot of interpretations of Riddler are on the spectrum.
Well, I mean, they kind of have to be in some way. Like even the Long Halloween and Dark Victory interpretation, you can see that, like even just a little bit, like in his mannerisms in those comics. What I think is interesting is that he's essentially an example of how an underfunded and corrupt welfare system fails people. Like and how someone like that might lash out. You mentioned the fake Instagram call, but it's sort of like this deep website where he's talking to like other like-minded people who he has gotten to dress up like him, get their guns, shoot important figures. That is a twist because it's basically revealed through like text comments that are very much like in isolation would be like normal text comments. Like and what type of gun does he have?
Yeah,
which is like
I remember seeing that and like that was when I froze in my seat and I was like, fuck, that is horrible. But it's brilliant. It really, really is. Taking that very real take on the Riddler. I really loved it.
Dynamic reminds me of the real life equivalent of the group of Michigan people trying to kidnap like a governor. Like, I don't know. I think that's just crazy. Like that.
That was
technology throughout the whole film.
Far right.
Very unique, new, and refreshing versus like other films of today that try to.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, it's also very much like they storm a government institution. Now, it's not like a Capitol building. It's
what?
Well, is it City Hall, Joey?
I think
it. So it is City Hall, and
I thought it was like a conference center, similar to like
I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah,
honestly,
but
I don't know.
there was a government. The governor was giving a speech there. So
Yes, the newly elected governor, which they were essentially trying to overturn a fair election. Interesting that happened in that this came out in 2022.
Yeah. But one thing I do really want to talk about with Riddler is we were mentioning the music before. We have to talk about the music
yes,
that is sort of the Riddler's theme. It's the classical piece
by Schubert.
What's
Ave
it called?
Maria.
Ave Maria.
Which, I mean, everyone who has grown up with Disney films has heard this because it's in Fantasia. It's the final piece of Fantasia representing the positivity after Mussorgsky's Night on Bald Mountain, which is all about witchcraft and Satan and the Devil's Rising.
This is the song that the film opens on as we get this opening shot of the Riddler watching the mayor through his window. This is the song that he's listening to. This is the song that keeps...
After three title cards of Warner Bros., DC, The Batman.
Yeah, I loved that title. I loved that. We didn't waste any time.
It's this very subtle trick of already priming your mind for, we are going in, get ready for an experience.
Yeah.
And you have this heavy breathing and Ave Maria and some great point of view shots. And then we follow just, this guy we eventually learn to be a mayoral candidate and current mayor in his, who's going up against this other candidate who is promising real change. And he gets killed in a brutal scene. Like, the murder was brutal. Like, Cole can attest to this. I was on the edge of my seat for the rest of the film.
Yeah. It's tense. But where that song is, really comes to a head is when we have the interrogation scene in Arkham. Batman's talking to Edward, and eventually he learns that Batman didn't actually get his final clue. He's like, we would just sit up here and watch the destruction. Well, everything will be fine. It was all meant to work out this way. It didn't work out. He starts sort of freaking out, which is sort of the moment when I turned to my brother and I was like, I'm not reading this wrong, right? Like, he is meant to be on the spectrum.
Yeah, it is.
But he starts sort of like freaking out, breaking down, and he sings Ave Maria. And then we get to Edward's final clue about where it all is. Batman lifts up this floorboard with, I forget the name of the cop, but he had a really fun little transition.
I think it was Martinez.
I think it was Martinez.
Yeah, he was really great. But in this whole scene, Batman lifts up this floorboard, sees this map of where all these bombs are placed throughout the city, and you hear in the music then that little leitmotif of Ave Maria within the score. It's not just the song this time; it's in the score. So I fucking love the way the music was done. Really, really brilliant stuff. And that's of course when we find the website with all the like-minded Riddler people, and everything just gets really scary from that point.
Including in the very end, it's revealed one a gang member that Batman beats up at the very beginning, near the very beginning of the film, is there at the end on the catwalk. And it is.
I loved that last catwalk fight scene. That was so good.
Yeah, I also liked it. I just didn't really like the end. I feel like it could have been a little bit more gory. I feel like it sets a pretty big gory take. When it comes to murdering and beating in the beginning, but then it gets more and more mellowed out. I don't know. I also really like grimdark stuff. I love 40K lore, Warhammer 40K lore. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like he lifts up the mask. It's a sunburn.
I feel like in this case, it's Reeves pushing the PG-13 rating as far as he possibly can, in the same way that Nolan did. I saw people complain that the Batman wasn't going to be R-rated, and I'm like, no, Reeves is going to do the same thing that Nolan did. And this
don't necessarily need an R rating to effectively portray things like that.
But at the same time, Reeves pushes that PG-13 rating as far as he possibly can. That thing is about to break by the time the film is over. But yeah,
and I think it really only comes together because we do end on such a good message of hope. I left the theater feeling hopeful.
But on that catwalk fight scene, I love the bit where Batman gets up, he injects himself with a what was it?
It's an EpiPen of a mysterious liquid.
Which may or may not be venom.
Yeah, no, like
I
my
thought
was like,
Oh yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah,
it's,
like, is
it's
this-
possible. It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Batman gets up. He starts beating down that guy. Like Selena looks clearly concerned for this man. She's just not comfortable with it. Which I love that take on it. But it's just really really good stuff.
Yeah, because up until that point, it was always no guns, no guns, no guns. We don't kill, you know.
And he's downright
Yeah.
just about to kill this
Mhm.
guy in this moment.
Which
Yeah.
I do like that portrayal of Batman versus some of the other Batmans that I remember where he wasn't really like no guns. It was just like, I don't use guns. So I thought that was really great for the character.
Yeah. He's really really great. But on the fight scenes, let's move over to the chase scene. The Batmobile chase.
The Batmobile?
First off, the Batmobile reveal, like how that was shot, fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I
it's
love
teased
that.
quite a few times early on in the film, like under a tarp, which is really nice.
Yeah. Up until this point, like Batman's just been getting around on a motorcycle,
Yeah.
which is his transportation for most of the film. But we do have to have a Batmobile scene because it's a Batman film. And I've loved
And luckily,
this
they
chase
never
sequence.
call it the Batmobile.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I like because
This
that
is
means,
this is just Batman's car.
well, no, that
Another-
means if we're gonna be doing Dick Grayson, we can
Yeah.
do the thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Huh. Yep. Never thought to give it a name.
Yeah, never thought, but I
Yep.
want to see that happen.
Oh, please. Matt Reeves already loves Jeff Loeb. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
yeah. I mean,
Let's do
the Riddler killings in this are very Dark Victory in a lot of
Oh
ways.
yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So the messages on the faces I thought was very Dark Victory. Of course,
so Cole, in Dark Victory, there's a serial killer called the Hangman who is stringing up cops, and writing basically like in their blood hangman like puzzles.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so you see that influence there. Let alone the fact you have the long Halloween influence of just killing on a holiday. The whole story begins on Halloween. So that's really
Which is
cool.
also where Martha and Mr. Wayne died in this story of Batman.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was really interesting. But where was I going with that? Batmobile chase. Was I saying something
amazing
else?
action.
Great
Again,
action
one of
sequence.
Colin Farrell's best sequences in the movie.
Oh yeah, I mean even right down to like right after the sequence when he's being interrogated by Batman and Gordon. I love that sequence. I thought it was really
and
great.
they leave him all tied up, and he just has to waddle off like a penguin.
Yeah. Absolutely loved that.
Also, the world's greatest detectives, huh?
Yeah. So many great lines. I love Colin Farrell. I'm so happy he's getting the HBO Max series. I think that'll be really interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Penguin's getting an HBO Max series?
Yeah, it's about his like rise to power in Gotham.
I'm guessing it's this. Is it this?
Yes.
Penguin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Colin Farrell. Yep. It's
Gotcha.
his like his rise to power. It's a prequel series.
I think it's gonna be
have
like
to watch
6
that.
episodes.
What's up?
I might have
Maybe
to
like
watch that. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. I do want to talk about Catwoman though in the spoiler section, who we mentioned the background of before, and is very year one. She did indeed do Frank Miller things,
but it was never as bad as some Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Joey.
Well, you see, here's the thing: when Frank Miller introduces Selena, like she's literally a prostitute currently.
Yeah.
You know,
If
in this version, it's like she has a rough past, and we're alluding to that.
Cole, if I may, because you don't know Frank Miller.
No, I do not.
He wrote 2 famous Batman stories, Year One and The Dark Knight Returns. He wrote 300. You know the Spartan.
Okay.
Yeah. He wrote Sin City, and he has this terrible thing where if he's writing a female character, they will be a prostitute.
Will be a prostitute, or will somehow be involved with prostitution.
Yes.
The one exception to this is Carrie Kelly because she's a literal child.
Well, actually,
then Frank Miller did write a literal child prostitute character in Year One.
Yeah.
Oh, Frank Miller.
Which is where they got the idea for Selena's roommate. But I am so glad they did not name her Holly Robinson.
Yeah.
Or make her a child.
Yeah. But definitely was meant to sort of have like the same relationship with Selena though in this.
Yes. A very interesting relationship. That I feel it's very interesting because, that her character Annika is basically there to get Catwoman involved in the plot and to make Catwoman Catwoman.
Yep.
which I think is great.
I did really like that the ski mask that she wears sort of like pops out on the sides like cat ears.
Yeah, on the top.
So that was a nice little touch. Yeah. But yeah. I guess since we're talking about Catwoman, let's talk about the last scene, the motorcycle scene we were alluding to earlier. So just a great visual language scene of them parting ways, and just it doesn't seem like there's a lot of emotion on their faces when in that final moment, but you really feel it. It's just a great subtle performance when they're parting ways for that final time. And I thought to myself, like, as that final shot was happening, we closing on Bruce's face, and I thought to myself, I was like, this would be the perfect final shot to this film. And then it cut to black, and I was like, that's fucking it. That is it. that is so damn good. Yeah, absolutely loved that.
Yeah, it's visual storytelling, no dialogue. Though before that scene, she does mention she's going to Bloodhaven.
Yes, which is the Nightwing city.
I'm assuming that's okay. That is a reference to the comics.
Yeah. In the comics, when Dick Grayson first becomes Nightwing, he goes out to Bloodhaven, and that's sort of like his Gotham City. So,
gotcha.
So like, if we're going to acknowledge the existence of Bloodhaven, give us Dick Grayson.
Give us Dick Grayson. Come on, we have to. We have to at this point. Oh, I forgot to mention it while we were talking about Riddler. But I did mention that he was sort of influenced by another character. I won't say too much about it because Jacob hasn't read it yet, but there is some Hush influence there, like Hush the character, in Riddler.
Which is again the other Jeff Loeb.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's all Jeff Loeb. It's just fucking Jeff Loeb. I don't know. Did you sit through the credits or no?
We did not.
Okay. The special thanks section has like Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, Scott Snyder, Frank Miller, so many fucking people. It's a really rewarding special thanks section.
Yeah, sadly, since the aisles were super narrow, the people to our left wanted to get out of there.
So we just
Gotcha.
It was a really narrow theater. I think we're gonna try a different theater because this was.
I think I know one in our area that's much better. It has leather seats that recline on like a normal theater.
Well, hey, Jacob, there are more opportunities for comic book films this year.
Yes,
that we will probably be doing episodes on.
And if we do, we can always bring someone back as a guest for our
I wonder who they could be referencing here.
Yeah, no, it is a mystery. It is a mystery.
William Brown.
William Brown. You know what? That I would fucking love to have him on the podcast. That would be fucking awesome. I would love to hear his perspective, just completely blind to most of the comic world.
His brother loved it.
Oh, yes. Cool. I was talking with Andy.
Very cool.
Who will be listening to this episode, so hi, Andy.
Hey, fuck yeah, Andy. I don't know who you are, but fuck yeah, Andy. Awesome. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, fuck. What else? Is there anything else to cover?
There is. I want to do at least a section of what do we think's coming up in the sequels.
Ooh,
like,
yes.
From a comic knowledge, from a non-comic knowledge.
Yeah.
I have some theories.
So
obviously,
before that,
we know one is Dick Grayson.
Well, before that, what we know already is happening. Penguin prequel series, and there was a GCPD series happening in the works, but now that's apparently changed course to an Arkham-based series.
An Arkham-based horror series.
Which, my God, I need. Especially if, I liked the Arkham scenes we had here, And
if it's on HBO Max,
and if
they're going to be able to get away with some stuff.
And I'd be interested to see if that would be our first case of a full, proper Barry Keoghan Joker performance.
Maybe. Because I think they're going to be saving the Joker for movie 3.
I don't know. You already cast him. You cast him really damn well. You shot scenes with him. I feel like...
And the exiting scene was with the Joker. Well,
yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough call. I think you're right though, Jacob. We're definitely getting Dick Grayson at some point. I would love to see it in 2. If not, okay. I saw there was a lot of speculation recently about villains that Matt Reeves would do a really great job with, and the big one I keep seeing is Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze is an interesting choice.
I specifically saw a really great fan cast of Daniel Craig as Mr. Freeze, which I think would be unbelievable. I
Not
would
going to bring
love
back
to see-
Arnold. Wasn't Arnold
No.
Schwarzenegger?
No,
We're
not
not
Arnold.
going to bring back
No,
Arnold.
not
Arnold.
Oh god. Yeah, no, I think Reeves would do a great job with that character. A lot of people have mentioned Court of Owls because that
I want Court of Owls.
if anyone's
so
gonna
bad.
if anyone's gonna properly adapt Court of Owls, it's gonna be Matt Reeves.
Yeah. So Cole, I think Bailey Peterson loved Court of Owls and would go on about it as well as like Aquaman around the time the New 52 was happening. But yeah, the Court of Elves is basically, for those who may not know, is basically the Illuminati who has been manipulating events in Gotham City since its foundation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've sort of been like underground in Gotham the entire time, and
the fact that they did Wayne Tower in this film. They did Wayne Tower.
And the idea with the Court of Owls is they see Batman as a threat because Gotham City is their city, and Batman thinks that Gotham is his city.
Gotcha.
There's a really cool dynamic to be had there. Let alone also there's a great metaphorical text there with owls being the natural predators of bats. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Really, really cool stuff there. And I think Reeves would do a really great job with that. Let alone the fact that also Mr. Freeze is part of the Court of Owls arc. So
he is.
He is. He's where they get the reviving serum from.
I forget about that because that version of Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Well, the annual sucks, but
the annual is awful.
But he does have other appearances in the tie-in issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So stuff that I have not read. But like you could do Court of Owls with bringing in Dick Grayson too. With that.
Well, I mean, hey, Dick is a big part of the Court of Owls story. So it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. I saw one of my great mutuals on Twitter, English Giraffe. He was giving recommendations for who he would like to see in the Batman sequel and like who Reeves would do a great job adapting. He had Prometheus in here. I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't.
Another sort of Maxi Zeus type character that can but like, you know, on definitely on a more serious level.
You know, I feel like we could open with like a joke villain for like 2 seconds at like kind of like what the Dark Knight did with
one of his other suggestions was a ventriloquist in Scarface.
Ooh, that would fit. I want to see at least one villain who is over the top fantastical, like and not sort of like things that could be grounded in just gritty realism. Like I want to see Clayface.
Oh, I'd love to see.
I want to see Mr. Freeze.
There's this great issue of James Tynion's Detective Comics where he does this really great Clayface backstory that I would love to see adapted somewhere. And then his last suggestion that this is the second time we're mentioning the Telltale stuff, but Lady Arkham from the Telltale stuff.
I don't know that character.
She's the main villain of season 1, so if you just play the rest of season 1,
I will play it eventually. But we know how bad I am at video games. Everyone in this call knows that Jacob Licklider, bad at video games.
Okay, but it's literally a quick time event thing.
Yes, I know.
It's all quick time. You don't actually play the game. You just press buttons.
But I'm still terrible at finding time to play video games.
And we will do those Arkham bonus episodes someday.
Yes, especially if they come to the Switch.
Yes. But anyway, yeah. So I thought those were some really cool suggestions. I would also love to see Bane done somehow. I think that would be really cool.
You know, I'd like to see Bane that does the Venom stuff, especially if that vial was Venom. Like
yeah. There's stuff to develop upon there. Yeah.
Somehow Batman and Robin included the Venom stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also since Reeves is a big Jeff Loeb fan, I would love to see Two-Face. Would love. I mean, hey, Gotham is in need of a new DA.
Yeah, that is
That's true.
Gotham is in need of a new DA.
Okay, do Two-Face as long as they include Gilda Dent.
Yes, please.
That's my one condition.
Actually, that's the big thing I want to see from the sequel. I want to see Gordon's family, and if we're doing Harvey Dent, I want to see Gilda.
Give us Batgirl. Give us Barbara Gordon.
Yes, set up Batgirl, please. Oh man, I would love that. Just so many possibilities that I would love to see in a sequel, and I can't wait to see. I mean, hey, we have 2 HBO series on the way. They clearly are invested in this world. I would not be surprised.
I will say I've seen people trying to claim that they aren't going to do like Bat Family because Reeves said something about not wanting to do like stuff outside of Batman, but clearly he phrased it as like
he would just mean like the larger DC universe, like
super.
Huh, that's an odd take.
Yeah. I just give us the Bat family. I will be happy with the Bat family.
If nothing else, just a proper Dick Grayson and Batgirl, please.
Also, Zoe Kravitz is definitely coming back at some point, right?
Oh, I mean, she has to.
Oh, well, yeah.
If not, I mean, hey, spin-off film.
I'm curious.
When in Rome.
I'm curious, Cole. Of sort of the Batman films that you've seen and sort of the relationships of Batman and women, who do you think Batman makes the best pairing with?
Who would I ship Batman
yes,
with?
To put it simply, who do you ship Batman with?
Yes, we need to know who you're shipping. And I swear to God, if you say Barbara Gordon, because that is
okay, Barbara's only been adapted like once in live action, Jacob.
But a certain someone,
and it was fucking Alicia Silverstone, and it wasn't even Gordon. She was related to Alfred. Yeah.
No. Well, I was just saying that because we know about Bruce Timm.
I'm trying to think. I think this Batman might be the best with Catwoman, or I guess they don't ever call her Catwoman in this film, do they?
They call her Cat.
Well, she says like the Bat. Yeah, she says Cat, which is like it's like a Tom King thing.
Also, I think that was how she was introduced way back in 1940s Batman #1 as the Cat.
Because I know the Christopher Nolan with Rachel, that really just killed it.
The Tom King thing is that they call each other Bat and Cat.
Gotcha.
Oh.
It's adorable, Jacob. You're gonna love it. You're gonna fucking love it when you read it. But yeah. So it's I mean, yeah, for me, like Selena and Bruce has always been like my main Batman relationship. It makes sense. I love it. I always love it. Oh man, is this the shortest episode of Fresh Face Comics?
Yeah, it might be. However, it was one movie with one very, very fun new voice. Thank you for coming on, Cole.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Cole.
And I will be dragging your ass back for more of these.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, if my brother gets to be on multiple episodes, your brother gets to be on multiple episodes.
I think the next one if we could try to do like a full round table of guests too, that might be interesting.
The siblings. That'd be cool.
That would be interesting.
However, we would have the terrible problem of again 2 Jacobs.
Oh.
Yeah. But he's Jacob 1 because he was born first. So anyway, yeah, actually, so since this is coming out between Dark Victory and Death of the Family, join us next week for the Death of the Family episode featuring my brother Jacob. So check us out there. We're continuing the Scott Snyder stuff. Also, if you haven't already, check out the last episode, Dark Victory, where again Jeff Loeb stuff. So it's
this truly is the month of Batman.
It really is. Yeah, this has been Bat Month. We have one more video this month coming out, but we've already recorded it. Our whole recording schedule this month has been weird. But finally, now this is the last thing we're recording for the month. We're taking a nice long break after this, and we're going to come back strong in April. So
yes, with an episode I'm excited to record.
Of course, there won't be a break at all for you guys though listening because we're recording way in advance. Because I don't even know where you're going. Where are you going, Jacob? You're going on vacation.
Well, first off, I'm taking an exam is the big one, and then I'm going to a beach in Florida.
Hey, oh no, Florida.
Yeah, I know. Look, it's a small beach. We are going to be. It's my first vacation in like 5 years.
Oh man, well enjoy. Everyone wish Jacob well because I think you'll be on that vacation when this episode comes out, right?
When this comes out, yes.
Awesome. So everyone wish Jacob a good vacation.
Wait, no. So, it's when the next episode comes out.
God damn it. Okay, well, everyone wish him a good vacation anyway. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, if you like what you hear, make sure to leave us a rating and subscribe to wherever you're listening to us on. Be sure to go subscribe to Blood Donut Studios on YouTube. It would mean a lot. Any support at all is much appreciated.
Cole, do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
No, I have literally nothing.
That is
well, you okay?
Oh, well, I occasionally stream on Twitch, like once every year, So there's that. It's not even worth.
Those listening, be on the lookout.
Yeah, maybe I'll pick that up some more. Maybe I'll plug that if I ever come back.
All right, thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan
and Jacob Licklider.
And Cole Licklider.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.